Thinking of selling your house here in the Chicagoland area? Well, in this video, I'm going to share with you all the pricing secrets you need to know in order to get absolute top dollar for your house. So keep watching. What is up, everybody? This is Austin Weiss. I'm your go-to real estate resource here in the Chicagoland area. If you haven't already, make sure to smash that subscribe button and tap that bell so you don't miss out on any of my future videos all about what it's like to work, eat, live, and play right here in the Chicagoland area. This particular video is going to be every single thing you need to know about pricing your property appropriately so that you get absolute top dollar for your house. I mean, you wouldn't want to leave any money in your property that you should be taking with you to your next house, would you? Now, before we dive deep into the pricing strategy that I utilize for every single property that I market, let's talk about the factors that are very important in order to sell any property. I'm talking about the price, the condition, the terms, and of course the marketing that's going to expose it to the most amount of people looking for a property like that. Now, all else being equal, if your house was listed and also your neighbors, the one in the best possible condition is the one that the buyers are going to choose if the price is virtually the same. So keep that in mind when you're looking to put your house up on the market. The condition is very, very important. Now, when I go to meet with someone about selling their house, I just want to make everybody aware that not every single property that's put on the market for sale sells. They end up on what's called the expired list, as you can see right here. Essentially what this is a list of homeowners that have a couple things in common. One, that they chose to do business with an agent that overpromised and undelivered, was unable to fulfill those promises, and their house left the market unsold. The second thing I think that these homeowners have in common is that they probably chose the wrong agent for the philosophy that they had in their mind about selling their house, and they were unable to carry on with their plans temporarily or forever for that matter. So when I go to price a property, I keep this list in mind so that you do not end up on that list. You can move on with your plans, you sell your house, and you actually get way more money than you can get any other way. Now, have you ever seen a property that was priced up here and they actually sold way less than asking price or slightly less? Yeah, it's pretty common, right? What about a property that was asking here but it ended up selling above the asking price? Yeah, isn't that pretty much undeniable proof that there is no relationship between the ask price and the sell price? Let me say that another way. There is no relationship between the asking price and the selling price. What your asking price is the duration of time you're willing to wait to find a qualified buyer to purchase your property to get what you were always going to get. So when I go to price a property here in the Chicagoland area, I will always price it at a $5,000 or $10,000 price increment. You'll never see me price a property at some in-between price point such as $407 or $432 or $579.9 or somewhere in between. So it's always going to be at a $5,000 or $10,000 price break. So it'll always be $450 or $525 or $250, somewhere along those $25,000 or $5,000 or $10,000 price breaks. The reason I do that is because when people are searching for a house just like yours, they're going to be on their phones, they're going to be on their laptops or their iPads or whatever it is, and they're always going to search in even round numbers. So they're going to search from 200 to 250 or 700 to 775. They're never going to type into their tablet 415 to 437. It just doesn't exist. So in order to be visible to the most amount of people, we're going to stick to those $5,000 and $10,000 price breaks so that you're visible to the most amount of people. You're not invisible to the world's best buyer, and that your property is seen by the most amount of people. All right, have you ever been to an auction? Well, I'll give you a brief explanation of how one works. So essentially you have an item for sale and they're going to start at some low price, and you're going to have a room full of buyers. Let's say it's 10 people for easy math. And those 10 people all put a bid on that item that they really, really want. And you keep bidding the value or the price, the item up as high as you possibly can go until people start not bidding anymore and they fall out. Until you get down to the 2 or 3 highest bidders, until you find the one buyer that's willing to pay for that item more than anybody else will, and the other people's opportunity cost is not as great. Well, I'd recommend you do the exact same thing with your house. And I wouldn't recommend you start at 0 or some low number, but I would recommend that you have 2 jobs and 2 choices. One of the jobs is to actually sell your house, but you would never want to sell your house until you know what absolute top dollar for it is. Now, one of the ways to find out what top dollar is get one buyer to make an offer and another buyer to make an offer and bid them up against each other until they make such a high offer that one person's opportunity cost is not as great as the other one's, and you find the one person on planet Earth willing to pay more for your house than anybody else will. So, do you want to know what the other way is to find out what top dollar is? Hey, if you like this video so far, don't forget to give me a thumbs up. It'll help my video reach more people just like you who are looking to sell their house and get absolute top dollar. There isn't one. That's the only way. So how do you go about doing that? Well, I'd recommend you make two choices. One of the choices is to select a unit at a time that it takes real buyers with real pre-approvals or cash to come and physically look at your house in person. In my mind, that unit of time is somewhere between 15 and 30 days before you need to consider making a price adjustment, whether that's going down on your price or increasing actually. And the second choice I'd recommend you make is selecting a price, the highest possible price you think it would take for an appraiser to go along with, and that your buyers would actually buy your property in 30 days or less. So how do you go about choosing that unit of time and the price? So there's two factors involved with that: how many showings you're getting per week and how many offers. I like to see at least 7 showings a week or 1 showing per day, or at least 1 offer per week. If you're not hitting those metrics on the sale of your house, you don't have to lay awake at nights wondering why your house isn't selling. It's the price, and you need to make a price adjustment. Now, if you're getting 20 showings a week and you're getting 5 or whatever amount of offers or some crazy amounts of showings and offers, then it would be my recommendation to actually increase the asking price of your house. Now, remember from earlier, the asking price has no relationship between the sale price. It's just a tool to attract more people to your house. So let me share with you some real life examples with actual sellers I worked with here in the Chicagoland area. I had a house listed for sale for a homeowner here. The comparables were showing if the house would have been updated, the house should have sold somewhere between $425 to $440. However, her house was considerably outdated. She had the maroon carpet, an older kitchen, and just some updates that needed to be done. So her house was somewhere around $410. And naturally, that's the price she wanted to market her house at. So that's the asking price we went with. And I told her that's most likely not going to be the sale price because, like I said before, they are not related at all. So after about 30 days, she had 32 showings. So we were hitting our metrics. However, we had 0 offers. So she went down to $405 and immediately got an offer for $387. We negotiated and we got them up to $396. And she was about to take it. And I just said to her real quick, I said, if you went down to $400,000 or $399.9, your house would sell for closer to $410 like I promised you in the beginning. So she goes, all right, let's do it. So we went down to $400,000. Immediately within the first weekend, we had 6 offers. We chose the best one with as far as financing, terms, and overall down payment. And I was able to sell her house for $407,500. So what's the moral of that story? There is no risk in underpricing your house unless you're too eager to take the very first offer that comes along. Now let me give you another example. I had a house also in the Chicago suburbs, and they actually were listed with a different real estate agent for a while at $385, and they ended up on that expired list I shared with you earlier. Now, when I met with her, I told her house would sell for somewhere around $360. So naturally, she wanted to go to the next tier up at $375. So we tried that for a while, and she got, a few showings here and there. And after about 30 days, I said to her, you need to be at $350. So she caved. She goes, you're right. We need to be at $350. We've only had a handful of showings and no offers. So within the first 6 days of going down to $350, she got 4 offers from people that had previously looked at it, and we're just kind of waiting for it to be marked at fair market value. Now, she wanted something different other than purchase price, which obviously is very important to everybody. She wanted something different. After the inspection, she didn't want to have to fix anything because she was moving out of state and didn't want to come back to hire contractors. So selling her house as is was very, very important to her. That goes along with finding the best terms. So we chose the buyer that was going to be offering as is, along with purchase price, was putting down the most down payment money, and had a favorable closing date for my seller. I was actually able to sell the property for $355 as is, which was very important to my seller, not only because she didn't want to come back from out of state to hire contractors, but the fence was falling down in the backyard, there was a crack in the foundation, and there was a few other items that probably would have cost her a few grand just to fix to make the property sellable. So what's the moral of that story? There is no risk in underpricing your house unless you're too eager to take the first offer that comes along. And I have numerous other examples where I was able to sell properties for tens of thousands over asking price or get crazy amounts of non-refundable guaranteed earnest money. So if you're a seller and you're saying, yeah, that sounds like exactly what I want to do when I sell my property and I don't really want to negotiate and only find one buyer but multiple buyers, give me a call. I'd be more than happy to show you my step-by-step process and exactly how to do that. Now, some common misperceptions or misconceptions I get from sellers include, if I price my house too low, it won't leave me any room to negotiate. Well, if you price your house too low, you're gonna get so many offers on your property, you won't have to negotiate. So that's the best strategy going for you. Sellers think they have to take an offer if they get one. Well, that's not true at all. But well, what if we get a full price offer? I have to take that, don't I? No, you don't have to take anything if you don't want to. So that's the misconception that I get probably the most often, to be honest with you. Nobody's forcing you to sell your house. So if you get an offer that you don't want to entertain or you're not comfortable with, then you just don't even have to, go with it. You don't have to even respond actually, but it's probably most appropriate just to say no and move on to the next person. I'm in a hurry, I just want my price. Well, I hear that quite often as well. Honestly, you should be in a hurry because the longer your house sits on the market going unsold, the more likely you are to sell it for a lower price. Should I fix up my house before I sell? My quick answer to that is absolutely 100% not. I'm actually going to do an entire video about why not to do that. I will eventually link it over here, maybe it'll come up over here on why you should not fix up your property, but the short and the long of it is, do not fix up your house. We'll just adjust the asking price so you attract way more people and you don't have to deal with all those contractors. So once you get those multiple offers, you have to negotiate on the sale of your house. And what people like to do in this area, or most real estate agents do across the country for that matter, they do what's called highest and best. What I like to call it, it's not the highest nor the best. There's a better way to go about negotiating that's more fair for the people that are interested in buying your house, and obviously for the seller because they're going to pocket more money. The buyer's going to get their favorite house. It's just going to be a win-win situation for everybody. I do plan on coming back to do a video about that, so I'll link it in one of these corners wherever it ends up popping up. But if you are thinking about selling your house here in the Chicagoland area, I would just really appreciate the opportunity to at least have a conversation with you about how to get absolute top dollar for your house, more money bottom line than you can get any other way with any other realtor. If that's exactly what you're looking for, I'm available by phone, text, email, days, nights, weekends, and I would just, like I said, love to have a conversation with you about that. So until next time, I'll catch you guys later.